All right, good morning, fifth graders. Happy Monday. I'm sorry I couldn't be here this morning, but you're so lucky to have an awesome substitute teacher. We're going to go over bell work in our notes this way. Let's go over our bell work first. I gave you a really simple problem. We did, let's write our bell work out first. Bell work for 4-5. We did 91 is equal to 75 plus x. Okay, how do you find out the value of x? Well, what you have to do is you have to isolate that x to one side. So what I have to do is I have to subtract 75 from each side. Remember, in an equation, you have to, if you do something to one side, you have to do it to the other side to keep it equal. Those cancel each other out, so it's equal 0. I can bring down my x. 0 plus x is the same thing as saying x. 91 minus 75, can't carry that to borrow. 11 minus 5 is 6. 8 minus 7 is 1. 16. 16 equals x. How many of you got 16 equals x? Awesome job to those who did. It's alright for those who didn't, unless we wouldn't be having this lesson today. 4-5. Okay. Alright. Before we go on any further, I want us to write down some definitions. So get out some pens, pencils, something to write. We're going to go over 4 very important definitions today, boys and girls. The first one is addition property of equality. And it states you can add the same number, I don't mind if you use abbreviation, the same number to both sides of an equation, and the sides remain equal. Okay, talk about that mumbo jumbo right there. It's a lot of words. Let's put it into a visual. Let's put it into action. 9 minus 4 equals 5. Okay? Pretty simple. 9 minus 4 equals 5. 4 plus 5 equals 9. What if we added to each side a 2? What if we added a 2 to each side? 2 plus 9 equals 11. I already added it to the side, so I still have the 4, but then 5 plus 2 equals 7. Is 11 minus 4 7? Yeah. Is 7 plus 4 11? Yeah. If you do the same thing to both sides, boys and girls, the equation will remain equal. The equation will remain equal. If I had 3 kids over here, or 2 kids over here, and I had 3 kids over here, actually, let's have 3 kids on both sides. You don't have to draw this, but let's have 3 kids on both sides, okay? If I invited 2 friends over to both sides, would they be equal? 3 equals 3. I added 2 to each side. 5 equals 5. Is it still equal? Of course it is. If you do one thing to one side and the other to the other side, you can add the same number to both sides of an equation and the sides remain equal. Makes sense, right? All right. The next 3 are pretty much all the same thing, boys and girls, except for it's not addition. Now we're going to talk about subtraction. Property of equality. It states you can subtract the same number from both sides of an equation, and the sides will remain equal. equal. Same thing. 8 plus 6 equals 14. Does 8 plus 6 equal 14? Of course it does. But what if you subtract 3? Subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. What's 14 minus 3? 11. What's 8 plus 6? 14 minus 3? 11. Do the same thing to one side, do the same thing to the other side. The sides will remain equal. All right? I have those 4 kids this time, let's say, on each side. That doesn't do the equation, but 4 kids on each side. I'm just trying to show you a visual, boys and girls. And 3 kids ran away. Take away 3 from each side. How many is left over? 1 from each side. If you do it to one side, you do it to the other side, the sides will remain equal. All right? Okay. Operations. This is a little spunk in our definitions. Here's another one. Inverse operations. We talked a little bit about it on Friday. Inverse operation says operations, the definition of inverse operations are operations that undo each other. Plus and minus. Up and down. Time, multiplication and division. Okay? The things that don't undo each other. If I add something, what's this one thing I can do to bring it back to the same number if I add something? Take it away. Say if I have a 6 and I add 2 equals 8. How do I return to the original number? How do I return to the original number? Oh, I have to take away the 2. And that will return me to 6. This is just a visual. It's not really math. But let's look at 6. The original number 6. Let's multiply it by 2. What does that give you? 12. Now, how do I get back to the original number 6? You have to do the inverse operation of multiplication. You have to divide by 2. Equals 6. Plus and minus are the opposites. They undo each other. Multiplication and division are the opposites. They undo each other. One last example with that, boys and girls, is on a calculator. I'm sure you've all experienced and experimented with calculators before. If you click on something, say 2 times 2 equals 4, and you meant to actually do 2 times 4, not 2 times 2. You actually meant to do 2 times 4 in your calculator, but the calculator still says 4. How do you get back to the 2 if you don't want to click clear? How do you get back to the 2? You have to do the opposite of multiplication. You have to divide by 2, do the opposite of what you just did. Instead of multiplying by 2, divide by 2 to get to the original number, which is 2. Inverse operations, operations that undo each other. Okay, we'll talk about more tomorrow, but I also want to go over one more thing. Now that we're here. Actually, let's just stop there with 4-5 today. Let's do that, and because it's already 9 minutes in. That's a lot of time just sitting and writing notes. Remember, addition property of equality. 9 minus 4 equals 5. Alright? You can add to both sides of the equation and you'll get the same answer. It still will be equal, but you have to do the same thing to both sides. It's like that piano song, Chopsticks. You gotta do the same thing to both sides. Now you go to the subtraction. Same rule. You can do the same thing to both sides, but it has to be to both sides to keep the equation equal. It's like twins. You give something to one of them, you got to give the exact same thing to the other side, to the other twin. And the operations, they undo each other. If you have the original number 6, you want to add 2, get to 8. How do I go back to 6? You don't add 2 more, you have to do the inverse operation with the subtraction. You take away 2, you get 6 again. Same thing with multiplication, division. Multiply by 2, get 12. How do you get back to 6? You divide by 2. The inverse operation, multiplication, division, addition and subtraction. All right, don't forget that calculator rule. All right, boys and girls, awesome job today. Don't forget your ICE ticket and your classwork. I will be checking that in your binder checks on Thursday. Wednesday is your test. We'll go over some more notes tomorrow. ICE ticket, classwork, and centers. Awesome job today, boys and girls.